Let me tell you something that might sting at first. No one is coming to save you, no cavalry, no perfect moment, no magical mentor showing up at your door saying, "Congrats, your suffering is over." And here's the twist that's not bad news. That's the most empowering truth you'll ever hear, because the moment you accept that no one is coming, you become dangerous in the best way possible. Most people stay stuck because they're waiting. Waiting for motivation, waiting for permission, waiting for someone else to believe in them first. But winners, they move before the belief shows up. Standing alone doesn't mean you don't value people. It means you refuse to collapse when people leave. Life will knock you down hard, friends will disappear, plans will fail, confidence will evaporate, and in those moments, the question isn't who will save me. The real question is, can I trust myself to get back up? If the answer is no, good. Because that's where the work begins. Self-trust is built, not wished for. It's built when you do the hard thing after the motivation is gone. It's built when you keep promises to yourself no one else can see. It's built when you show up tired, scared, uncertain, and do it anyway. Let's talk about pain for a second. Pain isn't the enemy, avoiding pain is. Pain is information. Pain is tuition. Pain is the price of becoming someone stronger than your excuses. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you reinforce weakness. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you forge identity, and identity is everything. You don't rise because you're inspired. You rise because you decided who you are. So decide. Decide that when things get hard, you don't run. Decide that when no one claps, you still perform. Decide that even if you have to walk alone, you walk forward. Because standing alone teaches you something priceless, that you are enough to start, enough to endure, enough to finish, and once you know that you don't beg for rescue, you don't wait for validation. You don't need permission, you build, you fight, you become. No one is coming to save you, good. That means the hero of this story has been you the whole time, now act like it. Radical responsibility is more than just a phrase. It's a mindset that separates those who live a life dictated by circumstance from those who design their own destiny. Most people spend their days blaming the world, blaming other people, or blaming situations they didn't create. They wait for someone to intervene, someone to guide them, or some luck to magically appear and fix their problems. The truth is, waiting is a trap. Every second you spend waiting for external forces to align is a second you could have spent building your own power. Radical responsibility starts with recognizing that your life is entirely yours. Every choice, every action, every outcome, no matter how small, stems from your decisions and your responses. Once you accept that, you stop being a passenger in your own life and become the driver. Owning everything doesn't mean ignoring the realities of hardship or pretending life is fair. It means refusing to give away your power to circumstances or other people. It means understanding that while you can't control everything that happens, you can control how you respond. When you embrace radical responsibility, excuses no longer hold weight. Complaints about luck, upbringing, or external events lose their power because you acknowledge that these factors don't define you unless you allow them to. You stop thinking in terms of blame and start thinking in terms of solutions. You stop waiting for someone to hand you the right opportunity and begin creating your own opportunities, no matter how imperfect they may seem at first. The transformation happens when you fully internalize this. The life you have right now is the direct result of the choices you've made, consciously or unconsciously. And if that's true, then the life you want is also within your control, but it requires relentless ownership. Radical responsibility demands courage because it forces you to look in the mirror and confront uncomfortable truths about your habits, weaknesses, and patterns. It forces you to admit when you've been avoiding accountability or allowing fear to dictate your path. And the remarkable part is that the more you embrace this responsibility, the less powerless you feel. There's a unique freedom in knowing that while life can be unpredictable, you are the architect of how you respond, adapt, and evolve. By taking ownership of everything, you stop relying on external validation or intervention. You stop hoping someone else will fix your problems. You start building resilience, confidence, and momentum through your own actions. Every challenge becomes a chance to test your resolve. Every setback becomes a lesson in adaptability, and every success is a direct reflection of your commitment to yourself. Radical responsibility turns waiting into doing, complaining into creating, and powerlessness into unstoppable agency. Self-reliance is not an innate trait that some people are born with and others are not. It's a skill, one that can be developed, honed, and strengthened over time. Most people misunderstand what it means to stand alone. They think it's a state of isolation, a sign of loneliness, or evidence that they are missing something vital in life. The truth is the exact opposite. Standing alone is a deliberate choice to cultivate strength that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval, guidance, or presence. It's the ability to trust yourself, make your own decisions, and take action even when the world is silent or indifferent. Self-reliance begins when you stop expecting external validation and start building the internal systems that support you regardless of circumstance. Developing self-reliance requires practice. It means learning to navigate uncertainty without panic, to take risks even when the safety net isn't visible, and to accept that failure is not a reflection of weakness but a necessary part of growth. Every time you choose to rely on your own judgment instead of waiting for someone to direct you, you strengthen a mental muscle that most people neglect. It's easy to follow the crowd, to wait for permission, or to let others solve your problems, but those habits create dependency and erode confidence. True self-reliance is forged in discomfort. When you have to make decisions that others won't, when you face challenges that no one else can solve for you, and when you continue moving forward despite uncertainty, fear, or doubt. Standing alone also means developing emotional independence. It's understanding that your happiness, resilience, and sense of purpose cannot be outsourced. You learn to be your own source of validation, to take responsibility for your emotional state, and to remain grounded when external forces are unpredictable or uncontrollable. This doesn't mean you reject relationships or support from others. It means your core strength does not depend on them. Every decision you make for yourself, every challenge you face without leaning on others, and every moment you endure alone reinforces the skill of self-reliance. Over time, standing alone stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like empowerment. You discover that relying on yourself doesn't isolate you, it frees you. It gives you clarity of purpose, confidence in your judgment, and resilience in the face of adversity. It transforms uncertainty into an arena where your skill, determination, and courage define the outcome. Self-reliance is the deliberate cultivation of independence, a mastery of standing firm in your convictions, and an unwavering belief that you are capable of handling whatever life throws at you. Pain is not a sign that you are failing. It is evidence that you are alive, stretching, and evolving. Most people avoid discomfort at all costs. They chase comfort, stability, and easy wins, believing that life should feel smooth if they are doing it right. But growth is rarely comfortable. Growth is abrasive. It pushes against every old habit, every insecurity, and every limitation you've built around yourself for safety. The moment you feel tension, struggle, or unease, it's not a signal to quit. It's a signal that you are entering territory where transformation occurs. Pain is a guide, a raw, unfiltered message that you are challenging your boundaries and expanding your capacity. Every time you resist pain, you reinforce limitation. You teach your mind and body to shrink away from the unknown and to settle for what is familiar. But when you step into discomfort, when you lean into the struggle instead of avoiding it, you grow stronger, sharper, and more capable. Pain has a language of its own. It tells you where you are resisting, where you are afraid, and where you have room to develop resilience. It is a mirror that reflects both your current limitations and your potential for transformation. Those who succeed are not people who avoid pain. They are people who learn to move through it with intention, extracting lessons from every struggle and using every setback as fuel for improvement. The process of growth through pain is rarely linear. There will be moments when the effort feels unbearable, when doubt creeps in, and when failure seems inevitable. These moments are the crucible in which character is forged. Every time you confront discomfort and keep moving, you strengthen not just your skills or knowledge, but your confidence, your courage, and your trust in yourself. Pain strips away illusions and forces you to confront reality, the reality that progress demands effort, sacrifice, and persistence. It is uncomfortable, yes, but discomfort is the raw material of achievement. Learning to embrace pain also rewires your perception of challenges. Instead of fearing difficulty, you begin to anticipate it as part of the journey. You understand that growth is not about avoiding suffering, but about using it as a tool to elevate your capabilities. Pain becomes a compass rather than an obstacle, pointing toward the areas where your life, your abilities, and your mindset are ready to expand. The more you accept and engage with discomfort, the more you build the strength, resilience, and wisdom necessary to achieve extraordinary outcomes. Pain is not a punishment, it is the currency of progress, the evidence that you are pushing beyond your limits and evolving into the person capable of handling far more than you once imagined. Discipline is the engine that drives success, not motivation. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like a wave, powerful in the moment but incapable of sustaining long-term progress. Most people rely on motivation to start, hoping that feeling inspired will carry them through challenges, setbacks, and days when everything feels heavy. But life doesn't work that way. Feeling like doing the hard work is optional is a luxury reserved for beginners. The truth is, you don't rise to hope, and you don't rise to inspiration. You rise to the systems you enforce, the habits you build, and the rules you refuse to break for yourself. Discipline is what separates those who dream from those who actually execute. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it, even when the reward is invisible, and even when the world isn't applauding. It is the repeated, deliberate practice of showing up, putting in the work, and keeping your word to yourself. Motivation might get you to the starting line, but discipline is what carries you across the finish line again and again. It is the framework that turns chaos into order, uncertainty into progress, and potential into tangible results. Every habit you enforce, every system you implement, compounds over time, creating momentum that no fleeting emotion or external circumstance can disrupt. The beauty of discipline is that it removes reliance on luck, chance, or inspiration. It doesn't wait for the perfect moment or the perfect mood. It recognizes that progress is not an event but a process, and consistency is the currency of mastery. When you commit to disciplined action, the obstacles, doubts, and fatigue no longer hold power over you. They become variables to adapt to rather than reasons to quit. Discipline is what transforms struggle into routine, effort into skill, and intention into achievement. Enforcing systems for yourself also rewires your mindset. You begin to see life as something you control through your actions rather than something that happens to you. You stop blaming circumstances or waiting for external conditions to align. Instead, you create environments, routines, and habits that make success inevitable. You develop resilience because your progress no longer depends on fleeting motivation. It depends on the structure you've built and the standards you've set. Over time, discipline becomes a force multiplier, amplifying every choice, every effort, and every action. It ensures that even on days when motivation is absent, when energy is low, and when the world feels heavy, you continue moving forward relentlessly and intentionally, toward the life you have chosen to create.